So we're going to get into all that stuff. Of course, for those of you back at home that are watching on Twitch or YouTube and stuff like that, we do have some rewards on Twitch. But let's start off with Azarus. What can you tell people that don't know about Azarus for today's stream?
Yes, so Azarus is a rewarding platform to reward you, our viewers. So basically how it works is you will see a red dot or a red button on the stream. When you click it, it will ask you to authenticate your Twitch account if you haven't. If you already have done it, you're already ahead of the game. If you haven't, it's just a quick click. And basically throughout the show, there will be questions popping up based on the show, so it's very important that you pay attention. And it's going to be multiple choice. When you get those answers correct, you will get credits called Ubies, and you can use those credits to redeem For Honor rewards such as XP boosts, scavenger crates, champion statuses, etc. And you can redeem those at forhonorgame.com/redeem. But of course, on top of the Azarus extension on our Warriors Den, we also want to remind you guys that we do have an Azarus Creator Program where you can have this extension for your stream to have a more interactive time with your chat. So basically, questions from the game will pop up, even questions about your gameplay as the streamer. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, so you can find out all about that on Azarus.io. On top of Azarus, we also have Twitch drops. Basically, everybody who watches the show for at least 30 minutes will receive one scavenger crate, but that's just the beginning. Every 10 minutes throughout the show, a handful of lucky viewers will be randomly selected to receive 100,000 steel. Now, it's very important to know that the drops notification is delayed 24 hours to allow full processing for Twitch and Ubi. So if you don't get a notification today, that is normal. You just need to wait a little bit until tomorrow.
Yeah, that is correct. And again, we know that we want to get into the details of the show. We have a couple of housekeeping things that we wanted to get out of the way. And the last thing on that topic in terms of housekeeping is with regards to the actual patch notes that have to do with Year 4 Season 3. So some of you may notice that it will be considered 2.22, and you might be asking yourself, well, what happened to 2.21? Well, the real thing that happened is way above my pay grade in terms of understanding, so I'm not going to get into it. It was a submission thing, a technical error. Obviously, we're not skipping it out on content. It's just a question of technical reasons that it's called 222 as opposed to 221. But that being said, guys, we've got a huge show for you. Again, for those of you who are coming from UB Forward, those of you coming back, we got a lot to talk about for Year 4 Season 3 Resistance, which starts next week. Let's start with the story trailer for this new upcoming season. Let's get it.
Maybe the warmongers were right. Maybe we were foolish to hope for more. Maybe we deserve to be punished. It would be easier to give up and let them decide our fate. But we won't. Because it only takes a spark.
Kinda glitchy, bro.
To start
Chat's out for me.
a rebellion.
And there you have it, folks, your first taste of Year 4 Season 3 Resistance. A huge shout out to Mathilde and Seb from our team that worked on that with Helix. And for us to talk about more details regarding this new season, we've got some very special guests. We have Elise, Nicolas, and Rene to talk about everything. First and foremost, guys, welcome to the show. How are you guys today?
Great.
Awesome. Okay, let's get into it right away. I want to just give some context to people that might be joining For Honor a little bit later into the party and maybe missed last season, but we're coming off a pretty dark season in Tyranny. Obviously, the warmongers introduce themselves. There's corruption that's spreading. There's draconite that's being used for the forces of evil. All of these things. And now, as we saw in the trailer, we kind of have this spark that's going to give us a little bit of hope in the continent of Heathmore. So, Nico, before we get more into the lore aspect of things, what can players expect in terms of content for this season?
Well, I mean, before going into content directly, yeah, we're moving along, we're moving forward with the journey that we started. So, yeah, as you said, we are moving from tyranny, moving away from tyranny, and now exploring the theme of resistance, where we're going to start seeing heroes sort of organizing across factions to resist the Order of Horcrux led by the Warmongers. So we're going to see that throughout the event that we're introducing this season called Tales of Rebellion, but more on that later with Elise, Will, and Yuri. What you can expect with season 15 is obviously introduction of a new battle pass with new content themed around the visual of the season. There's also going to be new gear and variations, some of them being featured in the beautiful artwork that we have for season 3 Resistance, that was made by Red71. It's a big shout out to him and the marketing team on our side who handle all of that. So yeah, that's pretty much season 15 in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so, what are some of the elements that stand out for you in this season?
In terms of content, as always, we're bringing in new things and modifying what we already have. So on maps this season, we have a bunch of changes on Sentinel and other maps. Ed will be introducing that alongside with Alex, who will be showing us the new ranked 1v1 arena that is Wulin themed. In terms of UI, we keep the improvements coming. One that will be particularly exciting for you guys is Team ID, because it's going to allow us to completely open up the customization channels. So stay tuned for that. Audrey will come on the show to explain all the details about that exciting change.
Yes, Team ID is really, really exciting. It's also one of my favorite points of the show. But before we go into more details about the season, we recently did some patches, or released actually the Core Combat update and also the Warmonger not too long ago. And yes, like I said before, we also released some patches right after. So can you touch upon the topic and give context to those who aren't aware of what's going on?
Absolutely. So we had this CCU update and Warmonger that came in at S14 TU2. Regarding CCU, we knew it was a complex topic from the moment we started the testing round a few months ago, which is why when we released this new content on TU2, we had a lot of the team focused on that particular matter, looking at data, looking at feedback. So we put all this effort onto this to be as reactive as possible. And today, after we released our second patch, what we're seeing is that both from the data side and the community feedback side, things are moving in the right direction. We're in a much better spot than we were on release. So the patch, again, we tweaked stamina values, we tweaked damage, and we tweaked the corruption functionality so that the Warmonger fits where that power band was adjusted. Today, we seem to be in a much better spot. We're not necessarily done yet. We want you to keep the feedback coming. And we obviously thank you very much for your patience. This is something that is very important to us. We want the game to be in the best shape it can be for S15, because this is the season where we want to introduce and kickstart our first competitive season.
Yes, and the competitive season that Nico's talking about is the For Honor Dominion series, which we first announced in the beginning of year 4. So the reason why we're saying that this season, year 4, season 3, is very important is because the Dominion series, we are happy to announce, will begin this season, but it will be closer to TU2, so it won't be during the beginning of the season. So I'm going to quickly touch upon this topic. So previously we mentioned that there's going to be 4 weeks of online pools in each region for NA and EU. And a side note that the Dominion series is on PC only. And there's an online qualifier, and then it's supposed to lead up to an offline final, which will comprise of the best EU teams and the best NA teams to face off to be crowned the For Honor champion. Due to the global situation, the Dominion series will continue, but it will actually be all online this time. What this means is that because everything will be online, NA will have their own finals, E will have their own finals. So this inaugural season will be composed of the following. It's still the 4 weeks of online open pools in each region, which is open to everyone. It's still one online qualifier with 4 regions in each, with 4 teams in each region, and that's based off of how you performed in open pools. And we also included another path to finals, which is the last chance qualifiers, or also known as LCQ. So if you didn't make it through the pools or through the qualifiers, you still have one more chance to compete in the LCQ to participate in the online finals, which will be also comprised of 4 teams in each region. So more details on everything you need to know, including the rule sets, how to participate, will come within the following weeks, along with the signups, which will happen on Battlefy. So tune in to the following weeks, and we're really excited to see what we can bring to the Battlefy.
Yeah, and it's super exciting news, and I know for yourself, Clarissa, that it's been something that you guys have been wanting to launch since the beginning. And of course, with the global context, things have changed.
Yeah.
And as somebody that was super involved in the competitive community from the get-go, even before you joined our team as a community member, it's super exciting. But let's get back to Year 4, Season 3, and maybe a little bit more about the lore. Elise and Renee, obviously, you guys don't necessarily work on the same team. Elise being the game writer, and of course Renee, you as the lead audio designer. But they do go hand in hand, and I'd like you guys to just talk a little bit more about what players can expect and what is the relationship between the music and the lore of this season.
Yeah, so to begin with, season 3 Resistance, it's going to be the story of those who are trying to fight back the warmongers and their order of hawkers. So basically, as Nico briefly mentioned, we will have a new event that's called Tales of Rebellion. It's going to be a recurring event because as the warmongers are like conquering new fortresses, the people who are trying to fight them back are trying to reclaim those fortresses. So players will live the journey of those new heroes who are trying to band together, who are trying to understand what's going on with the Draconite, those crazy stones that started to appear everywhere. Because the warmongers, they are using them for their corruption thing, but also like the rebels will try to find ways to use that same stone to do something else with it. And this is like a storyline, like we are in the third chapter. The game modes obviously, but also like the music and the sound. Like it's very important to us to create that ambience through also an auditory experience, I guess. So yeah, maybe Renee, you can add more on that because you're the expert here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Elise. Yeah, sure. Well, like in the sound department, we work with a lot of different departments to for us to make to get our work done. And especially from a narrative perspective, when it comes to the main theme, we're basically trying to tell the story of the season in one song. So it starts off dark as a way to harken back to season 14 of the Warmongers, the darkness that the Warmongers have brought to Heathmore. But then, as we talk about mention about the heroes who are getting together to rebel against the warmongers, this is where the second part of the music comes in. It's kind of like it sounds like a journey of a hero, but you also hear a call and response with other instruments as the melody progresses, and which leads up to the third part of the song, where it all comes together and it sounds like people are getting ready for battle. And then after that, it ends off in a kind of a hopeful but uncertain note, a bit like a question mark, because they got together, but who knows what will happen next.
Oh, and there's also, I think, there's one instrument perfection in the music, right? If I'm
Yes,
correct.
that's right. Yeah.
And yeah, and lastly, yeah, there's also like I remember there's a hammering thing happening, I think, in the music.
Yes, one of my sound designers had the brilliant idea of using the sound of a hammer hitting a blacksmith's anvil as a percussive element in the song. And why that is, you'll have to stay tuned to find out.
I love it. I love it. You guys are professionals already in terms of teasing. I love it. So yeah, guys. I mean, if music is any kind of indication of what to expect, we've got factions that are gathering together. Music that's coming to a point where we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe those answers will come this season or maybe the next. We shall see. We shall see. Anyways, guys, stay tuned for the rest of the show because we're going to be detailing everything that has to do with Year 4 Season 3 Resistance. Guys, again, thank you so much for your time. We'll be right back after this with Audrey for the first time ever on the Warriors Den to talk about team identification and what that means for you guys as players for your customization. So we'll be right back after this.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the show.
All right, joined back now for the first time ever on the Warriors Den. It's Mrs. Audrey Laurent André joining us to talk about the team identification update. Of course, the title is maybe not the most indicative because it has to do with actually customization. But Audrey, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and maybe say hello to the folks back at home that have yet to meet you?
Hi everyone, so my name is Audrey Laurent André. I've been working on For Honor for 5 years now. Joined the team in 2015, where I was mostly into user research, user testing. Maybe you heard the term playtesting before, so that's what I was in charge of. And since March and Fire, actually, I'm in charge of UX, so everything regarding feedbacking in game, players understanding, all that kind of thing.
That's awesome, and of course today we're going to be talking about a topic that did require a lot of testing, and that leads us to team identification update.
Okay,
Of
back to
course, this is going to be something that's of value for customization. So, what can you tell us about this update in particular, and what's the benefit for the players?
So in a nutshell, I've been browsing Reddit for the past 3.5 years, and one of the things I read the most was why can't I use my neutral colors? And now you can. That
what?
basically the gist of team identification is we are removing the attacker, neutral, and defender categorization of palettes, meaning that right now you can use whatever you want, no matter the game mode, no matter the team, it's all free.
Yes,
That's
sir.
actually sick. That being
Finally.
said, I mean, obviously,
Oh
you
my
used to use colors
God.
maybe as a way to identify
Finally.
your teammates, and I'm sure you guys have seen that through play tests and stuff like that. So, is there anything that's being done to kind of
Final
compensate for this added
fucking
benefit for the
lead,
players?
bro.
Yeah, of
Finally.
course. At like the very beginning, we had attackers orange and we had defenders blue, and we realized that when you had some kind of cross-color customization, it could lead to situations that were very weird. Or you could think that someone was an ally because he was in your color, but in fact no. And that's why at the beginning we decided to completely lock the color customization. So now what we're doing is changing a ton of stuff in the UI so that people can recognize teammates and enemies even without their customization. And what we're seeing in the video now
Oh.
is that you're playing Dominion from the attacker side, but you have probably noticed that you're team blue. And so that's one of the most visible changes that we've done with this update is ensure that you are always team blue and your enemies are always team orange. So what this does is just streamlines everything regarding identification. If you see any element of the interface that's orange, you know it's an enemy. If it's blue, you know it's an ally. And what you're noticing as well is that to kind of compensate for this, you don't wear your team colors anymore. We have added an outline to all of your teammates that you can see from everywhere across the map. This basically entails if I see an outline, I know it's a friendly. If I don't see an outline, I know it's an enemy. A lot of games are doing the
That is
same.
good. That
And
is
something that we realized when we were testing is that some people really like
finally,
having
bro.
the outline,
I've
whether
been
to
waiting.
know where people are or just to ensure that they wouldn't be taking allies and enemies. But some people really didn't need it. So what we've done, as you can see in the video, is that if you go to the option into user interface, you can disable that outline altogether if you do not
Already.
use it in your match.
That's awesome. And also,
That's
just in terms of
perfect.
reach, I'm seeing that obviously right now we're looking at the perspective from
Thank
attacker,
you.
which is
Thank
blue,
you.
and also other
Thank
elements
you,
of this
Miss
game mode where
Audrey. Thank
you
you.
used to
I
see
love
stuff
you. I
more
love you. I
from the
love you.
test. Do you
You
see that
did.
there's an
You've done
adjustment
me
here to be made here, or is it
so good.
relatively simple for the
Thank you,
players?
Miss Audrey.
What I would say is maybe for the first or two first
It
game,
took
it may be a
how
bit,
many years
kind of
and a new
not
person?
as usual because if you play attacker, you will see the ram in blue and you would see the gate, you will see the gate in orange, which is not what you're accustomed to. But from what we've seen, the adjustment is like pretty easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of time, and for Dominion, it's basically as if you were playing on the defender side all together, all along. Like that doesn't change that much.
Nice. Okay, well, let's take maybe a quick recap of everything that we just saw in this video. So coming back to this, why don't you give us a breakdown of everything?
Yeah. So the first one, the one I mentioned,
Okay,
you will
so
always be Team Blue from now on. Enemies are always going to be Team Orange. The second is we really wanted to make huge
okay,
visual differences between your allies and your enemies that weren't always based on color. So the outline, I talked about it. You can disable it if you don't want it. Your allies' name are going to be displayed all the time, and so this is also so you can spot your allies easily. And we also hope that it will help with coordination, especially if you are, you join matchmaking in a group and you want to know where your friend, your group with, where they are in the map. You can see it like just at a glance by browsing around you. We've also changed some of what we call the awareness rules. Awareness is what decides what we show in terms of UI at which moments. So right now, what we're doing is you will always see the emblem on your enemies all the time, like as you would do before. It's just that the detailed information, such as health, stamina, is going to be seen only when you're engaged in fight. So if they're fighting you or if you're fighting them, it's log based. And finally, we color the health bars, like a theme color, just to reinforce a bit more that UI presence to help you identify, enemies and allies. So that's the biggest part of it. Of course, we had to make some adjustments on previous feedbacks that were using outlines, especially the reveals, the war banner in breach or the offerings in tribute. They're not using an outline and a fail, because if it's only outlined, then if you have an ally that's outlined for a feedback and that you use the outline for team identification, it gets confusing. So we had to adjust that a bit.
Awesome. And so I guess finally that leads us to next week on September 17th. What can players expect? I know that, all of these changes might, affect certain things. So what can you tell us?
So now that we don't have the need for attacker, defender, neutral anymore, and that everything is under one single tab, for each of your loadout, for each of your character, it's the neutral customization that is going to be kept once the update roll out. So if at some point, I don't know, you have that super awesome attacker palette that you want to have as your default, equip it on your neutral and it's going to be carried over as your main customization when the updates rolls out.
Cinnabar.
And just to be clear on that, just because I want to
Cinnabar.
make sure I mention it before we forget, maybe, is that the color palettes themselves for attacker and defender don't go away,
Cinnabar.
right? They're just all being regrouped into that one tab, the one that we saw from the previous one. So don't worry about that. You have all access to all of the color palettes. You just want to save the preset maybe before the update or something like that.
That's exactly it. You're not losing anything. What we had, maybe you're not playing a duel or whatever, but all of the palettes that you have unlocked are already neutral right now. So just imagine this as we're removing attacker, defender, and all of your palettes are still in the neutral tab. It's just that we don't need a tab anymore now that we don't have three categories.
Nice.
The other thing that we're doing, and it's minor, but just because we want to promote the fact that now you can wear, the color that you want, and that it's not having, it doesn't need to have a blue or whatever in it. We just change what is the default equipped palette on non-customized characters. Sorry, like the one that you never played are going to have the radioactive decay, which is a gray yellowish palette that's going to be equipped by default. The previous default one, the exotic palette, is going to stay unlocked, of course. And finally, because we really, really want to celebrate that huge changes, we are releasing a brand new bright red cinnabar material because another benefit of this update is that right now we can be like,
Who
we can go all over the place in
red?
terms of color for
Let's see what the chat
materials.
says.
So expect more colorful,
Ooh,
much
that's a
more
strong red.
as your progresses.
That's awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, we also have a couple of other minor updates to
Ooh, that's
UI
strong.
that's going to be live for TU1 of Season 3, Resistance. So what can you tell us about those?
So, if you recall, we started making some changes in the past updates. Like we've changed the matchmaking screen so that now you have description of the game modes. We changed the face-off also as well to make it a bit like clearer and less cramped. And so we are continuing on that direction with this update. So the first, and I think it's it's also a long requested change. The orders are now accessible from the pause menu, meaning that you can see them when you are waiting for matchmaking. You can see them in game. So if you need a reminder of what have I equipped or what do I need to do to finish my orders, you can do it now. You don't have to be in the end of game or in the world map anymore. So now it's accessible from your pause menu.
Awesome. That's a great quality of a life change. And is there anything else that players can expect for TU1?
Yes. So we have made some modification to the UI of the podium, at the end of the match. It's basically changed the camera frame in order to have, the character stand out more, and so that your emblem and your name stands out more when when you have won your game. And we've also updated the reputation icons for a player who are above rep 100 and for a player who are above rep 1000.
Wow. Rep 1,000. That's some dedication to For Honor.
And
So
Do we have any players?
we do have some of them. I checked
Hey.
because when we say, okay, we need to update some icons, I was like, do we actually have some players who are above rep 1,000? And yes, we do have some dedicated players who've reached like that number of hours. Like it's just crazy.
Congratulations to them. That being said, Audrey, want to thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
describe all
Thank
of
you.
these updates for us. We actually have an article that Audrey wrote on the ForHonorGame.com website that you guys can take a look. It's detailing all of the things for team identification update. For those of you who are joining maybe a bit late to the show, TLDR is basically customization is now freed up because we no longer have color palettes restraining things, and therefore we can actually introduce some new materials, and you guys can use whatever colors you want. The way that you'll identify your teammates is through basically the UI elements of the game. Is that a fair resume for you, Audrey?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it is. It is. Use the whatever color you want from now. We got you covered. So like, please feel free to do whatever you want. Like, and we are waiting for you on the fashion side of For Honor
Oh
now.
yeah, I can't wait.
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. Again, Audrey, thank you so much. You killed it for your first time. We hope to see you back on the Warriors then. We'll be right back after this, and we'll talk with Alex and Ed for maps. We've got a new map that we're going to showcase and some updates. So we'll be right back after this. Thank you again, Audrey. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Map showcase, people. I love this, bro. I love the hype. I love it. For Honor is it's going in a good direction. I'm liking this. We're going on a good high. I haven't been this excited for a good while. Like, it's not even a new hero yet, and I'm still excited.
All right, joined back now. We're here with Alex Boyer, level artist on For Honor. Welcome to the show, Alex. You got some news to talk about today, but first and foremost, how are you?
Thanks for having me back on. I am really good, actually. I'm super excited to be here. It's not every season that we get to present a brand new map to you guys.
Yeah, that is correct. And so, speaking about this new map called the Belvedere, this is a new Wulin Arena map. What can you tell us about it specifically, and what was the plan with this one?
Okay, well, there's a lot to say about this one, actually. Well, first and
See what the
foremost,
chat says.
it's the new Wulin Arena that will complete the roster of all of our training maps. It's set at the foot of this really majestic temple and overlooking this really beautiful lake filled with landmarks here and there. Everything was created from scratch. We have new assets, new textures.
Oh
It
my
looks really
god.
phenomenal.
It really does. And What can you tell us a little bit about, the lore? Actually, Clarissa, I think you have a little description that we could share with the players back at home, just to get a little bit of the context as to what we're doing in this map.
Yes, so we do have a
Man,
map
look at
description.
that.
Here it is. Some lords and commanders across Heathmoor have unearthed ancient scrolls about architecture and started to build vast palaces in the Wulan tradition. After passing through the beautiful gardens and sophisticated pavilions of these palaces, one may
Boy,
discover
that looks nice. The
a
pond, all
belvedere,
that, bro. It looks
a
amazing.
scenic arena that is primarily used for mock fights and the training of elite warriors.
That's beautiful.
Exactly.
And so, Alex, when it comes to these,
It looks
this Woolen Arena
so
map,
great.
what can you tell us that sets it apart from maybe the other factions, cultures, and the scenery that you would get, let's say, from the Knights' perspective, from the Vikings' perspective, and the Samurai perspective?
Yeah, for sure. What really sets it apart is the richness. And I'm not just talking about like the richness in terms of like all the intricate sculptures and all of the carvings and the buildings, but also like the richness in the colors. Like we have a much
Dude,
more
I'm already bored.
bright
Give us
color
back
palette
Audrey.
when it comes to dealing with Wulin. And I think players are really going to dig going in here and having these crazy duels. Speaking of which, this is going to be one of our maps that are going to be showcased for the new rank mode. The size of the arena will vary depending on which mode you're playing, so it's gonna change it a little bit of that feeling and the
Yeah, it is
strategies.
it's kind of
And
underwhelming that
this
it
is a
is only
map
for duels, but it
from
is
your
still a
team?
nice duel. Oh my god,
Actually,
I'm gonna
no,
love
this map
dueling in
was
here.
completely done from scratch by our Shengdu team. If you guys didn't know, Shengdu have been working with us almost since the beginning, actually, creating assets and helping us build maps. And characters and a bunch of other things. But this time around, they really wanted to take their hand in doing a map from start to finish. So this was the perfect exercise for them. They had done a bunch of prototypes that were really cool in the past, and we said, well, why not? Let's go for it. Give us a couple pitches, and we went with this one because it really caught us off guard of how majestic it is, and like it really gives us the feeling of serenity. And I think they really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. A massive shout out to the Chengdu studios that worked on the Belvedere. Alex, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk about this new map and showcasing it. And we're actually going to say goodbye to you. So thank you again. If you want to say a couple of words to the folks back at home.
Have fun.
Perfect. We're going to say hi to our good friend Edgar to stay on the topic of maps right now. The birthday boy, Edgar Orlando Oliva. How are you today? At the time that we're recording, it's actually Ed's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you.
To you.
Thank you so much. And happy birthday right back at you in the future.
That's true. It's the present though, so it's super complicated.
Yes.
But anyways, so many birthdays, but also so many updates for maps, right? So let's get into it. What do you have to present to us today, Edgar?
Well, as you can see here behind me, I'm hanging out in Sentinel. So we're going to be talking about Sentinel rework today.
Ooh.
This is one of the maps that
I do love me some
hasn't got
Sentinel.
a lot of love since we launched it. And I know from the community that it's one of the maps that probably needed to be looked into more. Just because, there's the issue of camping in this map, obviously due to the ballistas, but also due to the distance between capture zone areas. Sometimes it takes a long time to get to another area, and so you rather just stay put where you are and boost your zone or camp the ballista. So those are some of the things we needed to take a look at. And I'll say it up front that we did not delete the ballistas. That was not the point of this. We didn't want to just delete them and call it a day. But in fact, we wanted to make it so that the ballistas come secondary to map navigation and flow in terms of getting from one area to another. So we can start right now by taking a look at Capture Zone C. And as you can see here, the outline of the map, the capture zone ends in the back area, and you have to run this entire hall all the way to get to point B or point A. And what we did here is we enlarged this interior portion a lot bigger.
That is nice.
And now the capture zone area takes place on the first floor of this tower. And because that's more prominent it's the more prominent area of the capture zone, we reduce the size of the back area, the balcony area, so
Okay,
that
okay.
I mean, it's still very comfortable to fight in, but most of it will now flow you towards the rest of the map, towards B and towards A. And you'll see here, this showcases that we removed the second floor from the capture zone area, and we also added these railings so you can't drop attack on people who are downstairs trying to
Okay,
capture
I
the
like
area.
that. I like that.
So the most important thing that changes is that you can no longer use the ballista and capture the zone at the same time. You'll have to make a choice. Do I want to go up, leave the zone open to be contested, or perhaps if you're two players of two teammates, one can stay below and boost, and the other can go upstairs and use the ballista and try and find some targets. So I think that presents a much more interesting dynamic to choices in this map, instead of boom, I captured the area, I'm going straight to the ballista because I can boost it at the same time. So yeah, I think this is quite a drastic change from what's on live right now. And speaking of drastic changes, we can now take a look at what we did. Here you see the ballista in the middle and these two boring towers on the sides. And what we did was, boom, we opened them up to zip lines. So these zip lines have two very important uses. One
Yeah, I
being
like
that
it. I like it.
right now, if you're on the ballista on the second floor and you don't have any target to shoot at, you don't have any easy means of going anywhere else other than downstairs back to the capture zone area you were already in. So now we allow you to move very quickly from the ballista to other parts of the map. Uh, let's say if you don't have any targets to shoot at anymore. And also the other area in which these come in handy is that since we now pushed the capture zone outline all the way to that exit on the first floor, the opposing ballistas could easily predict where you're going to come out of. But because now we added two zipline exits, the opposing ballistas will have to ping pong their targeting between those different areas to kind of guess where you might be coming out of.
Yeah, I really like the zip lines too because it just gives more tools to the player to decide. Okay, well, will I go into the ballista? Okay, I won't be trapped here anymore. So now I can either fight them or I can just use the zip lines to get
Yeah,
out
but
really
they
quickly.
give Edgar a pay raise. This
And
man
also helps
saved
promote
this
map
map.
rotation because
Yep.
they'll be able to travel faster from point C to mid and then etc. from there.
Exactly. So I think there'll be a lot less camping of areas that you're in, and yeah, like you said, promote those rotations. So much like the warmonger here, who's running over to A, let's go take a look at the changes we made to capture point A.
Okay.
So this was one of the smallest capture zones in the entire game, I would
It's
say,
so.
and one of the
I
most
always hated
dangerous
up
ones
here.
too because of the ballista and the ledge.
Okay.
And what we did here was really utilize that space in the back, and we doubled the width of those stairs. And so you see we had this path that was running behind that was really somewhat useless. And so that allowed us to really take advantage of that space and use it better for the capture zone um, enlargement of the capture zone, which also allowed us to add a Brazero in the middle, which not only serves as a critical landmark, but will also provide you with cover from ballista fire if you're standing behind it. So positioning yourself.
Just to be clear, Brazero is the firebender.
Yes, yes.
I learned that word. So
that's the word I learned that word when I got on For Honor, and yeah, it doesn't seem to be a word many people use.
Until now.
Yes. So yeah, I think it'll be a lot more interesting in terms of positioning yourself, and and this new revamped capture point A will also be there in duels and other game modes. So speaking of which, we can take a look at duels. So these changes we made to this top portion of the tower area, which was unique in duels. There was a trap floor that would open up in between both characters, and since you already have a ledge on behind
No
each
more. I
character,
like it.
we felt that having that trap floor was just overkill and didn't allow people to navigate comfortably in that fighting space. So now it'll be much more comfortable to navigate in that area.
Yeah, I can imagine it must be frustrating for especially players who are starting out, where with the chapter opening, it's like they'll both run up, one person guard breaks,
Yeah.
the other person doesn't guard break, and then they just get
Right.
thrown out, and then that's it. That's the 10 minutes, and you're like, what? I didn't even get to duel. So
Exactly. And as I mentioned, there's already 2 ledges on that area, and so I don't think we really needed that trap floor there anymore.
Yep.
And we made one more change to duels. We can show the next video. Yes, so this was a giant area in the Defender Courtyard, and it was really big for duel, and so we moved it to the new revamped tower interior, which I think is a lot more interesting for a duel space than that giant courtyard. Which brings us to the next video, which is Brawls. Brawls had the opposite problem. You were in the interior tower, which separated both players, and now we moved it to the interior to the Defender Courtyard, which is a lot more spacious and spawns players in close proximity of each other.
Yeah, so the new update will allow those either choose between the honorable 1v1s or decide to do the regular 2v2 brawl, whereas in the previous one, like you're already stuck in that promoted 1v1. So.
Yeah, it was a pretty awkward space for a brawl, so we felt like opening it up and having the players in close quarters would be a lot more appreciated by the community.
Yeah. Plus, also the really nice thing about moving the duels to that interior is that it also helps those who are still getting used to Dominion get used to fighting in duels in that space too.
Yes.
So it's like a nice segue from like, okay, you're going from fighting, duel, brawl. If you go into Dominion with people and you know you're more of a fighter than objective of capturing, then you can use that space to your advantage. So it's a very nice touch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's it for Sentinel, but are there other maps that have updates that are coming to Year 4 Season 3?
Yes. So Sentinel is our centerpiece, major rework, but we also took the time to make some smaller improvements on other maps, which I think the community will appreciate a lot. On Temple Garden, we made some changes to the interior of the tomb area. We removed some doors, and we also removed some of the torches that were near the pillars that people would use to kite around a lot. So hopefully it'll alleviate some of those issues. And the other one is on Harbor. We closed off a ledge that was near mid lane, which is already a pretty dangerous area. So we felt that would be a lot healthier. And in Gauntlet, we made a small change to capture point C, I believe.
I know that.
And you'll just have to play to see the rest of them.
Nice. And so again, guys, if you guys want the full details of all of those changes, including Sentinel, of course, you can visit our website, forhonorgame.com, to visit the patch notes. We'll also have an article on Team ID, the update that Audrey gave us beforehand. So if you guys are a bit late to the party, you guys get to see all of that good stuff. Edgar, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to explain everything to us. And of course, happy birthday to you.
Thank you very
and
much.
we'll be right back after this
Thank
to talk
you,
about the new
Edgar.
event,
Thank you
Tales
so
of Rebellion,
very
with our good
much.
friends Will and Yuri. Thank you again, Ed.
Cheers, everyone.
Literally, people literally only at Ledge are mad. Whew, this is so good. Ubisoft is taking these fat dubs right now.
All right, and joined back now, we've got our good friends Yuri and Will to talk about the Tales of Rebellion event. Of course, we've been kind of hinting at this all throughout the show, and now we'll get the chance to talk about it. First and foremost, welcome to the show. How are you guys today?
Not bad. Will pointed the wrong way, but you know.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yuri, you don't have to be this way, really. I know that you're. You're right.
I was born this way. Sorry.
Will, so what can you tell us? Like, maybe give us a little bit of an introduction. And I know that we're going to take a look at a little trailer before you get into the details of this event.
Yeah, exactly. So first, hello everyone. I'm very excited to show you the new event we've been working on. It's a bit different from our usual events. It tells a story over multiple weeks, and you'll get to participate in telling this story over time, week after week. So maybe we can watch the trailer now, and we'll come back to talk more about it.
I like the plan. Let's do it. Take it away, Max.
You started a rebellion, haven't you? Well, I've got a plan.
Ooh.
You help me break in. You reap some draconite. And I'll forge a little something for you. Come, warrior. Let's get rid of these bloody tyrants.
All right, well, there you have it. You get a first taste for this event. I know that it was a quick trailer, an awesome trailer. Shout out to Seb and I think Mathilde who worked on this. I apologize if I make a mistake on that one. But that being said, can you give us more details? Obviously, we get a sense of what's going on, but let's go into details for this event.
Yeah, sure. So first, Tales of the Rebellion is a PvE event, meaning you will fight against AI all the way through. And it's also, like we mentioned, an evolutive event. You may have seen some different chapters. Every week you'll get to play a different part of the story and a different chapter/activity. We can go to the next slide.
Cool. So here's the narrative of the event, which I will read out. The Order of Horkos imposed a regime of terror and left many scars across the world. The samurai would be the first to take up arms and resist against this new enemy. An alliance was sealed between Goemon the Ramusha, leader of the Maya Rebellion, and Ilma, a mysterious blacksmith. Together, they fought to reclaim a samurai fortress and made important discoveries about the Draconite, a new source of energy for all warriors in Heathmore. Great! So, we saw that it looks like there's maybe 3 different game modes, or maybe just one. So, go ahead, William, take it away.
Yeah, exactly. So we have 3 different game modes that take place over 3 different weeks, and you can see on the screen right now. All the game modes are PvE, like I mentioned, and if we go to the next slide, we can see that in this event, all the activities are taking place in the Overwatch map. And as you progress through the weeks and the story, the map also evolves with it. We can go to the next slide to take a deeper dive into the first activity you'll get to play on September 17, Rescue. In Rescue, you conquer zones and protect Ilma, the blacksmith, from the warriors of Arcos and reclaim the fortress. It's a new version of the Emperor's Escape game mode, which was introduced in the Zanhu event last year. In this game mode, basically you fight hordes of NPC, in this case the Samurai Arcos. And what's special in this version is that Ilma is your only healing source, so you have to protect her with your life. Let's take a deeper dive and check the gameplay video. So as we start with the face-off, there's an ominous figure in the background sitting on the throne. We'll talk a bit more about that later. So as you can see right now, Overwatch is in ruins, and the warmonger influence and the corrupted Draconite is everywhere. Ilma on the screen is a powerful character that will help you push back the corruption. And as you can see, she has a healing AoE around her. If you stand into that green circle, you will get healed. She's always staying behind the front line. So you'll have to split into groups to either capture the point to move forward or protect Ilma from the hordes of enemies. Ilma can fight, and she will use a powerful war cry when you capture a zone that will kill any enemy alive and liberating the way forward, as you can see right now. But the Warmonger forces also have some surprises in store for you, with special enemies empowered by corruption. Be careful, as they are stronger than the other enemies. So we invite you to jump in the rebellion now and play Rescue, as it's only available for a week, starting September 17.
Yes. So this will be at the beginning of when Resistance launches, starting next week. So jump in and play. It'll be exciting. Great. So what
Yeah.
can you tell us about the next one, Pillage?
So the week after that, we'll talk about Pillage, the activity of the week after that. So in this one, you have to secure the Draconite before the organs. So we know that the Draconite is a crystal, it's red, and we know that the Orcos are actually using it and corrupting it to become a bit more greenish, and it's the source of the Warmonger power. Now we have regained part of the map, and it's time for us to go secure as much Draconite as we can, so that we can also have that power. We kill soldiers to collect Draconite, then we bring it to deposit points to secure them. Once you have enough Draconite, you put the enemy team in breaking. It's a new version of the Soul Rush game mode that came out for the Hitokiri event, I believe last year as well. The more Draconite you have, the stronger you are, because it unlocks your feats. But in this version, you will only the Draconite you carry only scores you points if you deposit them. Whereas before you could just hold on to them, the souls, and you would be fine. Here you really have to deposit them for it to count. So you have to make the trade-off. Do I want to stay powerful, or do I want to take a risk and deposit the points so we can win the game?
So is it that when you deposit the Draconites, do you still have your feats unlocked, or does it reset?
It resets. So basically, if you want to have your feet back, you have to kind of go grab some Draconite.
Okay.
And then the trade-offs, if you keep it too long and use your feats, you could potentially die and lose all of your Draconite that you've collected.
Exactly. So when you die, you lose, I believe, 50%. And if you get revived, well, you keep that 50%. But if you respawn, you lose everything. So, but if you're downed and the enemies are here, well, it's going to be tough for your teammates to come and revive you. So be careful. So as you can see right now, when we kill the little mining soldiers, we gain Draconite, we gain Renown, and as you can see right now on the screen, when you amass enough Draconite, you enter a state where you gain more Draconite per kill of soldiers, but you're also visible to the Warmonger forces anywhere on the map, so be careful because you're now a target.
And as a reminder, because the difference between this and Soul Rush is that Soul Rush was PvP, but now we're playing against AI, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much it for Pillage. So again, help gather Draconite for the fight to come in the last week. It's only available for a week starting September 24. Now, I'm very excited to talk about the last activity in our story, Overthrow. It's time to confront Yato, leader of the Samurai Arcas, the one you've been seeing sit on the throne in the face-off in the previous videos. In this game mode, we have to defend Ilma while she forges a powerful Draconite weapon, and it's the only way to defeat him. So I'm very excited to say that it's a whole new PvE game mode, where we have Ilma in a forge, working on a weapon, and we have to protect that. And once the weapon is created, we use that weapon to defeat a boss. So let's check a bit the video. So Yato is hiding safely under a shield of corrupted draconite, as you can see on the screen right now. It's the cocoon-like thing, like this. He's completely invulnerable in this. To kill him, we'll need the help of Ilma, and using the resources we gathered in the pillage activity, remember the draconite we were talking just before, she's forging a new powerful weapon that will help you take down Yato. But you have to defend her. So as you can see right now, she stops working if there's enemies entering the zone. Once you kill all the enemies, she will go back to work on the weapon. Once the weapon is completed, you'll be able to grab it and go attack the boss. We really want to keep the boss battle of the force, the Warmonger forces, the Orcos, in the area.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and again, over 4 will only be available for a week, starting October 1st. So I hope we gave you a good sneak peek into what the activities are going to be, how they are going to evolve, and I hope you're all hyped to try it out, and let us know what you think.
Perfect. Well, thank you, William, for explaining the game modes. I'm also personally really excited, especially Ilma, the blacksmith, which also relates back to what Renee was talking about earlier on with the narrative, or at least with the music, where you can hear the blacksmith anvil. So really, really exciting stuff. But also, let's get into the realization in game. So Yuri, what can you tell us about the realization that's coming in for Resistance?
Yeah, so for the resistance, we have this wonderful menu that's going to be available during the event. So we have our heroes plotting against the warmonger, and we will find out what will happen. So that is going to be available during the event itself. So this is just during the regular face-off. We're gonna just get to see some more of the wonderful key arts that's animated. But when there's the actual event, which I think is coming up soon, we're gonna get to see that ominous figure in the background, which is Yato, the boss that we're going to face in the third round. Which we purposely kept him a little bit mysterious, and we just really want you guys to find out more about him later on.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. But also including the Tales of Rebellion is the free event pass, which also includes really awesome battle outfits, mood effects. So can you give more information about the event pass?
Yeah, so yeah, these battle outfits have some really cool stuff happening with them. You have the Draconite, which is in this really bright red, that is actually being surrounded by these green waves that go around the outfit in patterns. It's symbolizing how the Draconite is spreading across the world, and I honestly I think it's the contrast between the two colors is very interesting, and it creates for a very interesting pattern. We also have the ornament that is really interesting because it changes colors depending on whether you're an attacker or a defender once you equip it. Yeah, so it has a balance of the Draconite in the center with the flowers on the sides. It's very interesting. And we also decided to get inspired by the Draconite itself to create this effect. So if ever you felt like there wasn't enough Draconite on the map itself, or you wanted to envelop yourself with all that power, you can do it with this really cool effect that blends really well with this event.
And it's really nice with the red and green because the red Draconite is what the I guess the resistance is trying to mine, but the Order of Horkos will try to corrupt it and make it turn green, which is why that's how the Draconite's corrupted and such. So it's a very nice take between one item that can be corrupted or pure, I guess.
It has a really cool sense of duality going on with the color scheme. It's a very fun event going on here.
How it will end, we will not know. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time about this event, Tales of Rebellion. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to say? Are we good to go?
So personally, I want to thank again everyone that worked on the event and made it possible, basically. So thank you, everyone. It was awesome.
Yes, a huge thank you to you guys and your teams that worked on this. Tales of Rebellion starts next week with the first activity, and then the other two activities, which subsequently happen each week after. So you guys get ready for that. Ilma needs you, and we'll see how it all ends. Maybe more answers to come beyond this season. Okay, guys, that's how that works. All right, guys. Thank you again, and we'll be right back after this. Actually, I believe. What are we doing after this?
After this, it'll be customizations and battle pass.
Okay, so
with
Yuri,
Andrew
you're
and
sticking
Yuri.
around. Yeah,
Maybe.
Yuri's
We'll
sticking
see.
around. All right, thank you, Bill, and we'll be back with Yuri hopefully and Andrew. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
And we are back for the last segment of our show, and it's not for the least because we've got Andrew and Yuri that are going to talk about customization for Year 4, Season 3. How are you guys today, and welcome to the show.
I'm doing fairly well. Fairly well, yeah.
I didn't ask, but thank you, Yuri. Andrew, how are you doing?
I feel free today. Finally.
Why is that?
Look at me. Am I attackers or defenders color?
I can't tell.
Doesn't matter now.
Because it doesn't matter.
Team identification. If you missed the first part of the show, there was a hell of a recall. This guy's a professional. Speaking about professionalism, let's talk about Year 4 Season 3's customization when it comes to not only the battle pass, but we also have regular drops, new armor variations, new weapons, of course. But can you tell us a little bit more about the theme in general? And maybe not just only for the battle pass, but also the regular drops?
So basically, well, Warmonger has arrived from last season, and now this is their corruption has spread it, and now we need to find a way. The warriors need to find a way to survive or fight back. So they will be kind of uniting, and season 15 TU1's theme will be based on the herbalism, purification, and divinity as the visual theme. We'll see a lot of design based on this theme, like nature and divinity, and the two contrasts from the last seasons. So there, which is a corruption, you'll find the season design very sleek and kind of pure. And throughout the season, you'll witness some factions kind of helping each other to fight back the warmonger's power.
Very good. And so that being said, do we go straight to the showcase, you think? Anything else, Yuri, that you wanted to add?
You said it perfectly. I wouldn't dare change a word.
Excellent, excellent. I wouldn't either. So let's get right to it. Let's go to the showcase of we'll start off with the armors because that's probably the most important thing for certain of our players. So let's get right to it.
As you can see, well, not only the variation, the new variation of the armors, there's a
Well, that.
the main overall theme for like generally overall themes for whole character variations are it's quite bright and it kind of represent and also kind of represent the pureness, but at the same time it's kind of a contrast from what we had it before, so it's to kind of that will be kind of contrast from the season 14 and this season's.
It's really awesome. And so when you were saying that there's a little bit of like
Oh
the
my
factions that
God!
were helping
Yes.
each other out, do we see those in these variations?
It's starting to
Ooh.
show that
Okay.
eventually you will see something more, but I cannot say too much about that at this point.
Okay, gotcha. And also a new variation for the Warmonger, as
Of
we can see
course,
here. That's
now
awesome.
she's the part of the night.
Yeah, that's true. And now we're going to head into the Viking, if I'm not mistaken. What can you tell us on that?
So basically, they are quite the same. They have the more clean treatment on overall. Like there is a lot of white colors that was added towards every variations.
People are complaining about no scent. Like scent got like 4 pieces. So I'm not worried about it. He got
does
4 sets of
feel
armor.
different than all the previous presentation, because now I
So,
really feel
well, yeah, Santa's.
expected
Yeah, we got
a lot more
Santa.
by the posing.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So actually, the interesting fact on that one is that it's actually introduced in the key art, and you may be asking yourself why the Jormungandr is part of this resistance. Elise might talk about that at some other point.
I don't know if she actually brought that up, but then when we designed the all those year 3 characters, not all of them were just the dark. There were variations of a
Yeah.
character that kind of represent the light side as well. So he is the one of them in that
Yeah.
design.
My boy Kensei looking so sick. Those pants. I've always said this, but what I love most is for the samurai is the pants. Like I would buy those pants any day of the week.
That's
I
my
can't pull them off. I can't pull them
Pretty
off.
sure I have something
But
similar to
that
them too.
that's my retirement plan.
oh, the Orochi looking shiny as hell over here.
This is one of my favorite
That's
for
beautiful.
How? Okay, I know
initially
Armish got
he
new
was
gear,
very
so
sleek.
I'm not mad. I would be mad, but I know for a fact I'll be mad for
I'm
Highlander,
pretty sure someone
Shaman.
will kind of find where the reference came from.
Ooh, wait, I just don't call that. I look at Obito mask. Ooh.
Oh,
Ah!
I won't say it. Oh my god, let's go. All right.
Took you that long.
Listen, you know me. It takes a while for
That
me to
mask is
process
Fishikogi looks
things. Why do you
amazing.
think I'm so delayed
Now
whenever
where's
William
Armusha? Move
jokes
him.
on the
Move.
stream?
Where
Thought you were about to pull
hello?
Yoshi.
Where's Armusha? I know he what?
And now we're taking a
Hello?
look at the Wulin faction, of course.
Yeah, the Wulin lines actually include all
Did
the
they
reference
forget?
that we introduced in season year 4 season 1.
Okay. This is dope. Dope. Insane.
Game very elaborated.
What to say? Where is
armor
Armusha? Like
armor designs as
I'm
always.
I
I'm
like the
trying to
attitude that they
remember.
have right now. Just like, don't mess with me, you know?
The pose actually adds another layer of it. So I'm really happy that we apply this the posing while we're doing the
Yeah.
presentations.
Yeah, especially for those who are not necessarily, are maybe new to For Honor that don't know the characters in depth, or maybe they don't play all of them. Again, this whole thing is about showing character personality, whichever one fits your play style, but also just your general
What
vibe.
is
So
that?
having these poses kind of brings that to life. So a change that we haven't been able to do in the past, but now as we look at the Shaolin, like this is the embodiment of what they represent, just tranquility, and you get it from every sense when it comes
Oh
to
my
the
god, yeah,
other
shoot.
characters as well.
Sheldon got a do rag.
Really
He got do rags
Just
and
chill,
wave caps now. Sick.
See, I always admired the Shaolin because I have no chill usually, especially when I play for,
Look at that do rag.
and it's something that I would love
This
to
man.
have.
This man waved for spinning.
Just look at it; it looks so tranquil,
And Misha's basically previous one that we had, it was it's more of a traditional dress inspired, but then the one that goes into the next were more of the armor, fully armor based ones.
Really nice. And again, just giving more options to the players. Not everything is everyone's cup of tea, and you're just adding more to what you can do and what you like.
Exactly.
And again, with the team identification thing, for those of you who are late, there's the materials that you can play with as well now.
Oh yeah.
That'll change everything.
It will be more visible for sure.
Yeah. And finally, the JJ. Just a rustic looking fellow.
Unique mustache with the or new with the news that this JJ has a very interesting hat,
Yeah, very nice.
which is coming in.
Very nice.
Oh my god. They gave this man a cowboy hat.
I'm
Oh,
liking the
Zanu,
white mustache on the Gen
Yeah.
2.
Zanu looking
Oh,
old.
that's imposing. That's actually intimidating.
It's very nice scale mail silver
Yeah.
one and interesting. It's kind of a high class, the academic type of helmet.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting one.
The mustache that that color complements the actual armor. Very nice touch.
He
I
looks
really
wise guy.
yeah, definitely. Okay, well there you have it. So you have an overview of all of this stuff, but is that it for all the characters? I have a feeling you have something more for us.
No.
Do we? Do I? Am I
I don't
missing
know.
somebody?
I don't know. Maybe if we take a look at the next video, you can let us know. Let's go. Let's take a
Yeah,
look.
but I was
Let's
like,
take
well,
a look, shall we?
please.
One. In this season, we get the
Ah, there it is. There
Armusha
it
gets a
is.
new armor set.
There it
Very
is.
nice. Very, very nice. There's a lot of straw that I see here.
Yes, it's quite unique.
There it
We
is. The
pointed out
straw.
there. In Japanese tradition, this type of straw were used to disguise himself.
The
Since
man's got
there are a
feet.
lot of
He
straw
got
materials that
sandals.
were used
He don't got
used
wooden.
to
He doesn't have wooden
use in
planks on
the
his feet no
structures in
more.
the
He got.
building, or even you can see it in the garden. It's
Whew.
kind of useful to hide and sneak in.
I see.
And
And you
this
can
type of
see through the hat.
yes, exactly.
Sorry, my
It's
Siri
very
just went
important.
off, but that's okay. We can keep
That's
going.
okay.
Oh my god! I just let you know. Looked up at his mask. Oh my
The design is
god!
very
Yes.
stealthy,
He has
and
another
it's
set.
very nice.
There's another set. There's another set. There's another set. There's another set.
That was
There's
one
another
of the
set.
very
There's another
important part
set.
that we were kind of emphasizing it. I mean, being faithful to his characteristic, but then designing something quite
Bro,
different
what?
than from his original set were quite challenging for us. And I think we did pretty good job with it.
I couldn't
Tattoos are
agree with you
sick.
more. Yeah, the tattoo really sick.
Uh, in a sense of the stealthy, he's wearing the mask. It's a very important to wear the mask.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Wear your masks, ladies and gentlemen.
Then he has
The
another.
Aramusha's doing it. You got to do it. And it's also like social distance right here between the Aramushas.
Yes,
It's
sir.
perfect.
3 sets, baby boy. You love to see it.
They do have a quite unique, different head design for
Literally
each. I think
3
one of the
sets of
size wise is one
armor.
of the biggest
I love it. You
among
love to see it.
that we
Aramusha got
know.
3 sets.
Uh,
3 sets,
he has
boys.
like those straws,
Three
and then
sets.
the bare
We're
leg that he has it, and also
like I
the
said. I said
the
it
tattoo.
in my last
The
during the
dress,
trailer
the
video.
base
Armusha's
setting of the
making a
dress is
comeback.
very traditional. So that's
I
another
hate
thing that you
I
might
hate
be able
Armusha
to
so
enjoy
badly,
if you are
but
more
boy, does this
interested
man
in
make
that
me love
side of
him.
if you prefer that side of the armor design, more historical based.
Very nice.
He has another one. There's
In
another.
the
There's
order, I
another.
think this is the actual default one. So this is the very basic one.
Ghost of Armusha. That's what I'm naming the
Color-wise,
video.
it's very
Ghost of
basic straw,
Armusha.
but as you can see, there are different
It
type of
drops next week.
colors.
I'm
There is a
dropping that
white ones,
video
which is
next
more of a purest
week.
one,
I
and the
promise
other
to
one is
God,
kind
I'm
of
dropping that video
kind of
next week on
representing towards
launch. No,
darker
day
side.
after launch. I'm gonna drop that video. I'm gonna drop the Ghost of Armusha video.
And again, with the pose that we have
4 Armusha
here,
sets. Four.
again, the whole point is to be stealthy with the Aramusha. So this is a look at, the final set, and we'll have a look at maybe the overview of all of the different variations that we're introducing in Year 4, Season 3. But that's not it, guys. We also have the weapons that we want to discuss. So this is the look
Look
or
at
the
it.
overview of all of the 4 different variations for Year 4, Season 3 for the Aramusha. But let's head into the weapons of this season because we have those, and then we'll get into the battle pass stuff. So, Andrew, what can you tell us about the weapons of this season? Because we're coming back to that theme of, I guess, divinity, purism, and all of those things as the continent tries to, counter what the corruption has been happening from the
Yeah. Oh my
warmongers.
God, the whole chat mad,
Well, today
bro.
we will be
You're
presenting two
oh God,
different
bro.
type of
You're
weapon
mad.
sets, but this one is the
Armusha's back.
single weapon,
He's big mad.
and they both have a different approach to it. This one,
Thank
and
you.
which is kind of opposite to it. This one is
Mm,
more
mm,
towards
mm.
the how can we translate the warmonger's corruption. We did it last time, but then it's a different take on it. When we were kind of searching for the theme, the word poisonous and the venomous one, venomous came up. Mike, do you know what is the difference between the poisons and venoms?
I do not. I feel like they're the same thing. What's the difference?
It could
Anybody?
not be more different, Mike.
Oh, really, Yuri? Okay, all right. I was talking to Andrew, so if you don't mind,
Well,
please, Andrew, go ahead.
I actually went through the net and we're learning. I'm actually learning. I was curious, like it looks like the same thing, but there were difference. Poison is a toxin that gets into the body by swallowing or inhaling or absorbing by the skin. So that's
Uh-huh.
something that you can apply through the skin or something you
Ingest.
you ingested.
Okay.
Venom is a it's kind of specialized
Oh my god, bro,
poison
stick bug.
that
The stick bug
evolved
said.
with a specific purpose, meaning like it's activated by the biting or the sting.
So it's much
Hmm.
more I guess like imposing when you talk about venom
Hmm.
because you're talking about somebody had to do something for you to get venom inside of you,
Right, right,
as
right.
opposed to just me eating like some kind of food and I get poisoned from it or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm really hungry right now, as you can tell. I'm a man who likes his calories.
I
So
promise you.
please continue on the topic
It
of venom.
was pretty fun that we're learning something.
That's true. That's true. So you knew this without any research, Yuri, or did you have to research that answer?
I did not use any form of research whatsoever. This was
Okay.
sprung up on me. I never saw it coming.
Okay. So you were just born with this knowledge. Okay, gotcha. All right.
So some people are like that, Mike.
Yuri, how do you pronounce two-handed uh, the wavy blade with the German sword?
Oh shit.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it.
Aren't you German, Yuri? Don't you have a German
Uh,
descendants, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm back. What?
Let's move
Okay.
on.
Black
All right,
blade?
so
I
we went
like
to the
it.
samurai weapons here. So again, going back to the
Bless me.
topic of venom, when you say that it's based off of the corruption, because Elise at the top of the show was talking about Draconite, and obviously we saw with Yuri prior is that Draconite can be used, in different ways, and you'll see that in the event Tales of Rebellion if you guys missed that. Um, so you're saying that this is much more the darker use of Draconite that is going to be used in this weapon set.
That is correct, but at the same time, it was just more of a visual representation, visual translation of it. So we were just
Okay.
using the kind of dangerous patterns from the poisonous or venomous animals,
Mm-hmm.
and we're using their unique color tones. So base are quite dark, but then there are accentuated, very vibrant colors to scare the enemies,
I see.
and that was how we were creating and designing these weapons.
And if we come back to what happened last season, we were talking about and doing the weapon showcase when it was Tyranny, and we were talking about weapons that were like corrupted, like they were. I don't know how to describe it any other way because they were almost grotesque in the sense that they were like. Very, very bright green, decay, all of these things that like you're getting infected. And now it's kind of the other way is that like this weapon possesses the infection itself, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. I like it. So it seems that we've taken a look at all of the weapons for Year 4 Season 3, especially, well, I should say for specifically the regular drop items. But now let's get into the Battle Pass. Of course, we have a new one for Year 4 Season 3. Yuri, what can you tell us about, the concept and also the content that's not weapon related?
Yeah, so we're trying to tie in with basically what Andrew spoke of earlier. We're going with a lot of nature tones for the outfits. Basically, the people are tired of the tyranny from the warmongers, and they're trying to find some way out of it. So everybody's going towards well, most people are trying to find solutions outside of their regular culture. So we're seeing like some slight shamanism and heading towards nature and asking for druids to help them out in this time of need. So that's where the outfits and most of these these signatures come from. It's just like invoking some kind of good to come out of like all of this negativity. We also have this effect here that you can equip on your character, which is the druids. The druids are literally coming towards the heroes, and we have two sets here. So they're supposed to be almost like a twin druid. So it's pretty cool that you have like a nice variation between the two. You have one that's a little bit more fall colors, and you have one that's more summer. And what's fun about it is that you have like they have a lot of nice subtle changes to them that brings a lot of variety to our characters.
That's really awesome. And of course, there's a few items that are in here that are not necessarily all about that. We saw a couple of those signatures that we saw where the Jormungandrs like is drinking a pint of mead, I would assume, and stuff like that. So that's really cool. And then finally, can you tell us a little bit about this execution that we're seeing right now?
So yeah, again, the animation team just thinking outside the box. They thought it would be really interesting to have the druid like inspired from the druid and all of the things that we were creating. They figured it would be really cool if the druid actually had some kind of power to like bring you back into nature. So we have the metamorphosis execution where you literally turn your victim into a shrub. So it just everything from this set meshes in together so well. It looks really wonderful, and I mean the effect like combined with a lot of the emotes that we've shipped out in the last year, it just goes really well together.
That's awesome. And again, for those of you who might be joining us late, this is part of the Battle Pass for Year 4 Season 3. So that'll be available on September 17th. That's next week, next Thursday. So, Andrew, I know we saw a little bit of the content when it comes to the weapons. What can you tell us? And we'll get into the showcase right away, I guess, of the weapons for the Battle Pass. What are they all about?
Yeah, so basically, as you briefly saw in Yuri's presentation, these are the battle pass weapons. The symbol is for overall symbol is the flower of air. I think it's related with the herbalism. It's the godness of healing or the
Mm.
forge of the godness. There's many type of god that you each culture has it, and we kind of followed up with the each culture. But then that will be showcased throughout the different type of battle outfits. But this one is more specifically for the flower of air. So materials, as I said, everything's kind of pure. So we were kind of using the silver or the ivory, marbles, or also the something that is quite unique that you can see it from each weapons or the shield is it's this green not, brown stone which is called the Bezor stone. I think if you are a Harry Potter fan, you might know what I'm talking about. It's the stone that has the people believe that there's a healing power in it.
Mhm.
So we were kind of researching many different cultures to see what are the things that relate with the healings. So these are the ones that we added. Also based on the nature, uh, the elvish patterns were quite interesting to edit into the design. So that was we added for the patterns, also the colors. So the color wise, there's a white, the silvers and green and the brown and the pure blue. Sometimes the elvish gold was used to create the weapons.
And it pulls off like a very natural look. And again, you mentioned I'm sorry, I the name I can't remember exactly how you pronounced it. What was the flower's
Of
name of?
air, I'm
Yeah,
not sure
flower
if
of
my
air. Sorry.
pronounce it yeah is correct, but then yes.
So I guess there's also the Rose of Horkos that we also introduced last season, and there's quite a contrast because the Rose of Horkos is what the Order of Horkos and the Warmongers have introduced in terms of the corruption that they've spread and all of that. And again, the whole thing about this season is that we're trying to balance and have these two forces that are kind of going against each other. And this is the counter of this, I'm assuming.
That is correct. Like last season, when you were seeing there's a lot of rust and damage and the wrinkles and some things are spreading. This is more pure, clean. I think this is one of the I would say the more newer. Is that the right way to say? But it's not used. Like
Yeah, I see what you mean.
most of the time when we are creating designs of the armors or the weapons, there are always some damages. There's always some dirts. But then this is something that it just came out of.
The freshest.
Yes, freshest.
Yeah, freshest. I see.
So
Just out the oven.
you can exactly see the contrast from the previous ones. Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. And again, Yuri, you were talking about the content that has to do with, the that's not weapon related, and I feel like these fit so well together, and again through that concept of staying pure, the divinity, and trying to heal yourself through things that you don't necessarily understand because of all of this corruption that happened because of the warmongers.
Yeah, there's a really nice juxtaposition between everything that we're offering this season. I find so you have like this side of purity versus the side with the corruption. It really allows you to find a lot to customize your character with the theme that we're offering. It's very nice.
And it's a shame that a lot of this is going to be covered in blood because it's just so beautiful.
This is stain resistant, I'm sure.
Easily washable.
Machine washable.
So now we're taking a look at the Sam. Honestly, like when we look at this, it's again I'm always shocked and surprised to what extent we're up to our 15th season in For Honor, where we have regular updates and new content that's added, and it's really just for me as just like as a fan of video games, I'm really impressed to what extent you can differ these at each time. It's really a unique flavor each time, and again, some people enjoy the edgier side of things, but we're looking at something that's kind of a brand new take, and also that fits with the season and the theme.
That's our goal. Every season, we wish you guys have a different type of experience. We wish you to not it's only for just the one type of a person. It's like we would like to spread it enough so everyone can enjoy. And this is
Yeah.
just the one part of the
Right.
visual
That's really
And I
early.
don't know about you guys, but like I feel
Overall,
like
I think this
as
is
you keep
amazing.
playing
10
the
out of 10
game,
across
like
the
your
board. The
tastes evolve
execution,
as well.